want to target that inner head best, we need to optimize that resistance curve by using a cable or a machine. Now, of course, you can just pull a bar from a cable in front of you just like that, and that will have a similar effect. But it is still suboptimal. And there's a way that we can optimize the resistance curve even more and make it the most optimal. And that is with the preacher curl machine. Now, this has to be on the preacher curl machine and cannot be done with other preacher curls optimally. In fact, the preacher curl bench is one of the most suboptimal bicep exercises because of the fact that when you're at the top up here, there's no actual pull on your bicep. There's no tension. You've released all tension at the most important part of the exercise, which is the contraction. So it doesn't really matter how hard you squeeze the bicep. You're not getting any tension from the weight. And you're getting full tension down here where you're all stretched out and most weak and vulnerable, right? So the exercise's resistance curve takes place in the opposite manner that it should. So you can certainly optimize that resistance curve by using a cable, as I said. However, the best way to do it is on the preacher curl machine, which should be giving you about the same resistance throughout all parts of the curve. So that is highly optimal and can be even more optimized by doing it one arm at a time so that each arm gets independent focus. And that is the very best way to target the inner head and develop really wide biceps. But again, you want to use lightweight on this because it is so optimal. It is going to be very difficult. Now, you want to also make sure this machine is adjusted for you, because you don't want your arms down here or here. You want them, you know, out in front of you as much as possible, okay, without them being like up here. So that is optimal. Okay, so you want to do this slowly because obviously the resistance curve here being optimal is key, and if you add momentum to the equation, it's not optimal anymore. You want to stop and squeeze at the top. That means flexing your muscle, which means you cannot do very heavy weight. Okay? I'm using 80 pounds right now. All right, that's what I could do if I was doing 15 reps. But I also want to show you something. Once you get really used to doing preacher machine, if you want to make it harder, start doing each arm independently. Okay, this is such that if one arm is getting stronger than the other and doing more work, you wouldn't know. All right, so when you get advanced, you want to start doing more single arm stuff. It's actually more difficult. You have to cut the weight down by less than half, because when your arms are working together, there's a synergistic component. Okay, so I can't just go from 80 to 40. I have to go down to 20. All right, because when one arm is working on its own, it is very difficult. You also, though, want to really focus more on building that mind-muscle connection and getting contraction. You want to give more concentration to each arm when you're doing this. Just like with a concentration curl. You know, you wouldn't do a concentration curl with the same weight as any other dumbbell curl. You use less weight because you're trying to concentrate more and get a better squeeze. So do the same thing when you do single arm preacher curls, right? This is difficult at this point. You know, it's again something you want to do with higher reps. So I use 20 pounds. If I'm going to go up to like, you know, 15, 20 reps with a good squeeze, you cannot use a lot of weight. And you're also going to find that then when you go to the next arm, it's even harder because you just depleted a bunch of energy doing that first arm, right? You don't rest in between, which, you know, you should never rest in between exercises for longer than you need to. You're going to actually have a harder time doing it on the second arm. So whichever arm is stronger is the arm you should be doing second. Do the weaker arm first because it's going to get more energy. All right? And make sure you get that squeeze. If it gets hard, don't start dropping that weight back down like this. Don't take the squeeze out of the equation. If it gets hard, that means you're using too much weight, okay? You want to use less weight and you can start to use these things, okay? So I don't have to go from 20 to 10. I can go from 20 to 16, right, I'm 17.5, okay? Boom, turn it into a drop set, all right? Form is everything. Form over weight, all right?
So that is how to target your inner bicep to grow really wide biceps. Just make sure you are doing these exercises with a light enough weight that you can get in high reps and really squeeze at the top so that you can double your growth.